Hello, my fellow designers. Welcome back to D-Life HD. This is Victor, and today we are going to be counting down my personal top 10 favorite games on the Nintendo Switch of 2020. So without any further delay, let's jump right into it.
Switch it up. Switch it up. I was a worker, had to upgrade to a boss. Switch it up. Used to live in the hood, but had to upgrade to a loft. Switch it up.
For the Nintendo Switch, 2020 almost feels like a hit or miss year. There's a lot of downtime in between releases, and we got a lot of ports and remasters, to be honest. Now, that didn't subtract from the amount of fun I had, so let's jump right into it with number 10. Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Tokyo Mirage Sessions is something that I really have enjoyed my time with. I didn't actually pick it up when it released earlier on in the year, but I got my hands on it later on and have really gotten the opportunity to dig into it and kind of get to know these characters. It's a mix between Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei, which I've played Fire Emblem, but I haven't played the latter, so it's more heavily leaning into the Persona games and the way that they control and the way the combat feels. It's a very traditional turn-based JRPG set in Japan itself. It's centered around becoming a famous pop star with an organization that also doubles in taking down these more demonic and possessive type spirits that go around and cause terror around the country. And so it's very, very heavily Japanese in its tone, and I really enjoyed my time with it. Moving along, let's jump right into number 9, Paper Mario: The Origami King. This is one that I actually reviewed for the channel, and I am a huge Paper Mario fan. I've been playing the franchise since I was a wee lad, and this game kind of came out of nowhere. They announced it 2 months before its release. We were kind of hoping for a Nintendo Direct, and all of a sudden they just dropped this bombshell of a game, and it sold really well. To my knowledge, it is the highest selling Paper Mario game, and it really leans into some of the newer morals that they've set for these games. The older games had very detailed combat, and every single character had a name and a dedicated personality, but the newer Paper Mario games are more so set on pushing a sort of shallow narrative with a lot of humor and not really being engrossed in the characters that you come along. So there was a lot that I didn't like about the game, but overall I really enjoyed my time with it, and it was really fun to review for the channel. Probably my favorite of the newer Paper Mario games. Alright, number 8 is The Outer Worlds on the Nintendo Switch. This game launched back in 2019 for other consoles, and we got the port of it in 2020, and man, it was a rough port at first, and there was a lot of issues, and I actually played it in that state and reviewed it for the channel. And while I am more able to put up with sort of rough ports than the average human, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to all players unless they know what they're getting themselves into. Now, since that review, they actually released a patch, and the game is way more playable, and I think it's a great adventure since we don't really have a Fallout-style game on the Nintendo Switch. So if that's what you're looking for, this game is absolutely one that you're going to want to play. It's got first-person combat, it's got stealth, it's all about conversation and how you treat everybody. You make decisions constantly, and it is a whole lot of fun. Alright, number 7, Immortals Fenyx Rising. This is a game that I've been following pretty thoroughly since it got announced, and it really focuses on being sort of a Breath of the Wild clone without necessarily coming right along and saying that. And honestly, I have not had my fair share of time spent with the game. I do own it, but I hope to really dig into it coming with the new year. If we have any lulls, this is one that I'm definitely coming back to really dig into, because I really enjoyed Breath of the Wild. It's a top 10 game for me, top 5 Nintendo Switch games for me, and I am so excited to see what Ubisoft has done to sort of mimic it in the style of this game, Immortals Fenyx Rising. So if you're looking for another open world adventure to go on and you have a Nintendo Switch or any other console for that matter, I think this is one that I can recommend thoroughly. Alright, number 6, Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think most people would put this at their number 1 spot, but I am not really a fan of Animal Crossing as a whole. The only other one I played is New Leaf on the 3DS, and I had some issues with it. It seems like I just would hit downtime so quickly, and I know that's sort of the style of the game, that you get in, you do your dailies, and then you get out. But honestly, that's not the kind of game that I am heavily invested into playing daily. I like playing games that are maybe longer, and I can play them in longer bursts and get them through and then never come back to them. That's the way that I play games. And so Animal Crossing didn't really fit my needs, I guess, as a fan of Nintendo, but I will say it came at a perfect time, and it is definitely a cultural phenomenon with the lockdowns that came right when this game was coming out. While it didn't particularly hook me long term, I did play it a lot when it first came out. You know, with the lockdown, I was at my house. I am in college right now, and so I actually had to move fully online, and they extended our spring break right when this came out. So I was off from school for 2 weeks, and also my job shut down as well, so I was off of that for 2 weeks. And so I just was at the house, you know, not able to go out, and I just played Animal Crossing like a lot of other people all around the world did. And so in that case, it does have a special place in my heart, you know, thinking back on what we've gone through and this game sort of being a part of that. Number 5 is Hades, everybody's indie game of the year. It's really cool because this game is actually not on other consoles but the Nintendo Switch. It is on PC, but it is a console Switch exclusive, and I think that is so exciting to have such a impactful game on the gaming history, honestly. Big indie games like these that come out and everybody's playing them, they're really important, and this is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch when it comes to consoles right now. Of course, what Hades is very clear. It is an action roguelike game. You're constantly dying, you're constantly starting over and reworking your strategy and getting better weapons, and it's just a whole lot of fun. One thing that I credit this game for is actually luring me in as a roguelike. I've heard that if you don't like roguelike games, you still like Hades because of its combat, and this is absolutely 100% true. I'm not a huge fan of roguelikes. I'm pretty sure I actually went thoroughly over this in my review of the game for the channel, but Hades really roped me in, and while I was reviewing it, I was super invested, especially in the character and sort of what he was doing to escape from this place that he didn't want to be in, that being Hades. And so if you haven't had the opportunity to play this game, I highly recommend it as my indie game of the year. Moving on to number 4, it's Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I love the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise. I am a huge fan of it, but I jumped in on Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Wii U, and I haven't had the opportunity to go back and play the first game. I did start it on 3DS because I borrowed it from a friend, but it just wasn't necessarily the best place to play it. I wanted to play it on the TV and really experience the story and the characters. And honestly, I kind of like the order that I played them in. I played them X, 2, and then finally went back to play the original version this year. And it is a phenomenal, awesome game. Such a fantastic story, and it's easily one of the greatest JRPGs ever. I can't tell you how much I love this franchise, especially for its very unique combat where it's real time, but you're making a lot of strategic decisions and you automatically attack, but you're selecting your arts, and there's a lot of strategy even though it's in real time. And this version of it is probably the best version to play it. The graphics are fully upgraded with the new style. There's lots of extra stuff that weren't in the original version of the game. A full epilogue, like short campaign to do afterwards that's, you know, upwards of 10 hours long. That's amazing. And so this definitive edition is absolutely definitive. I highly recommend that you go and check out Xenoblade Chronicles if you have that JRPG craving and you just can't get enough of those style of games. Number 3 is Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and I reviewed this one recently when it dropped in November, and I have gushed so much about it. I'm going to keep it brief. It is a prequel to Breath of the Wild. I would highly recommend checking out my review from just a few weeks back, and honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Hyrule Warriors and the Dynasty Warriors, all those different Musou games where it's just a huge hack and slash, but I think this game is sort of my entry point that has me invested in this style of game, because previously I didn't have anything to really rope me in, but having this awesome story as a prequel to Breath of the Wild is something that sort of grabbed my attention, and I think I'm going to go back and definitely try those older games after playing this one. Alright, number 2, we're coming up here at the end. This one's going to be a little bit controversial because I've heard a lot of people say, don't include this on your list, or don't favor this as the game of the year because it's just older games. And you know where I'm going with this. 3D All-Stars, a collection of 3D Mario games, 2 games on the in particular, Mario 64 and Mario Galaxy, that I absolutely adore, and they're on my top 10 favorite games, and now I get to play them on my Nintendo Switch in handheld mode in HD, and honestly, there aren't a whole lot of upgrades to these games, but the upgrades that are there are significant. The graphical update to these older games makes them just absolutely gorgeous. Even Mario 64, that is in this older art style, you know, and I can't recommend this game enough. It's sad that it's leaving in March, you know, it's sort of a marketing thing that Nintendo is going for. Oh, you can only get this game throughout this particular period of time because Mario's 35th anniversary is almost over. I think that everybody that owns a Nintendo Switch should have this game in their collection because it's 3 absolutely breathtaking Mario adventures to be had, and it's a part of Nintendo's franchise history brought to the modern console. I could go on endlessly with how much I love Mario's 3D adventures, but I will say I wish they could have included Super Mario Galaxy 2 in this collection, and I hope they end up releasing these games separately on the Nintendo eShop for download after they've run this sort of limited release version of them together in a collection. Finally, a game that was a little bit late to the party, but absolutely grabbed my attention, and that's why it's at my number 1 spot. It is Doom Eternal for the Nintendo Switch, a magnificent port. Even in the final boss where there are just enemies pouring out of every 4 corner, the frames are stable. This game is magnificently ported to the Nintendo Switch. I can't recommend it enough. There was a few hiccups with some loading issues that I've discussed multiple times in my Doom videos recently, but outside of that, Doom Eternal is almost flawless if you're okay with some blurring and low resolution textures. It is fantastic on the Nintendo Switch, and because Doom is not really a precision shooter, it works really well in handheld mode. I actually played half of the campaign fully in handheld mode because I wanted to experience it in all the different formats that the Nintendo Switch offers. This is an awesome upgrade to a game that I fantastically love, and that is Doom 2016, and now I have so many Doom games on my Nintendo Switch, and Doom Eternal is a super welcome addition to that collection on my Nintendo Switch. And if you have not had the opportunity to pick this game up, it is only available digitally, but definitely add it to your collection. If you like first-person shooters, if you've played Doom in the past and you're looking to sort of continue that adventure, 100% grab this game. It is my game of the year overall, my game of the year on the Nintendo Switch, and I cannot recommend it enough if you enjoy shooters and violence and an awesome story that will have you fully engrossed. That is Doom Eternal, my number 1 game. Finally, guys, it has been an honor to be a part of the channel this year. I started making videos back in May, and I actually did, I think, 1 or 2 videos back in 2019, but I thoroughly joined DLife HD this year, and it has been an absolute blast and an honor to sort of serve under the channel and discuss video games, discuss things that I love. I'm very thankful for Daniel and everybody else in the channel, and I just can't wait to see where this channel goes in the future. Lastly, I want to thank you, the viewer, the people who have stuck around with us and enjoyed the videos that we've put out, whether it be for the Nintendo Switch or for mobile or even for movies recently. It's been so fun to engage with you guys, and for everybody that's come over to the Discord and chatted with us, it's just been an amazing experience for me to have a community of people that enjoy watching our content, and I am so honored to be a part of this channel. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments down below what you thought of this video. We love talking to you guys. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like these. Also, check the description for a link to our community Discord. Lastly, check our Twitter account for gameplay on the latest releases. But most importantly, always remember to stay 1UP.